it's so nice to see all the Potter support. You know, it's going strong here.
I know. So how have you been to Cape Town before? First
No,
question.
never. I've not been to South Africa, but I've heard a lot, like I have a lot of friends from here. So yeah, big excitement to be.
So what's on your list of things that you want to see and do while you're here?
Well, I've already done a few things. Been to the tabletop mountain.
Okay.
And I've been talking nonstop all weekend about your little creatures, the dassies. Nobody told me about these incredible little animals that walk up the rocks. And everyone was just like, oh yeah, I know dassies. Fine. Like, no, that's pretty good, pretty major. So yeah, we went to Boulder Beach as well to see the penguins. Yep. And that, I couldn't look at the penguins. I was just looking at these little Pokemon on the rocks.
Because you're a huge fan of animals, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I grew up with animals and feel very comfortable with animals. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite animal?
I'm basic. I love cats. I really. Yeah. Cat fans here. Do lots of people have cats here?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what do you personally have?
I have 2 cats and a dog. And our dog is from the Reunion Islands. So we came here, me and my partner were like, oh, we're the closest to her home. We've been in a while. Yeah, so, the rescues, yeah.
Very cool. So, beginning of your career, how do you get started in the arts?
I mean, I got a really kind of freak start in that my first job was Harry Potter. And I had 2 auditions for it. And that's the easiest job I've got in my life. And everything since then has been a struggle. Like, I don't know, I was just very blessed to, the right character came and I knew the books inside out. I was so passionate about that character. And, I had such a wonderful experience with the producers of the film. They really encouraged me to be creative and to bring my creativity to this character. So yeah, very, very lucky and weird start in this business.
So you knew the source material and you knew Luna was who you were going for?
Oh yeah, that's all I knew. My brain was just colonized by Harry Potter. Sorry, that's a wrong term to use, but it was. That's all I thought about, you know. To the point where, like, in my later life, I'm like, I should become more well-rounded. I should read other books. And I have been. But yeah, it was great in a way that I was just, you know, people, you hyperfixate on things. That was just my obsession. And it really worked out for me. Yeah.
Now, what are some things that you loved about Luna?
I like how she makes people feel. I like how she made me feel. And this is a reaction I get all over the world, that people say, oh, she gave me the confidence to be myself. And I think that's such a beautiful thing to give people, because we're all kind of, you know, inwardly unraveling and anxious and everything. And to be with someone who makes you feel calm and makes you feel like you could drop your defenses and you can just be, I just think that's such a gift. And I always thought that every time I would read the book, I would feel, oh, okay, I can be my weird self. It's fine. I don't need to keep trying. So I love that. And I love how open-minded she is. You know, she's not necessarily not logical. She's very creative, imaginative, and that's my kind of people. Yeah.
Now, besides Luna, who clearly is one of your favorite characters, who's your other favorites? Who are, let's say, top 3
from Potter?
Yeah.
It changes every time I read the books, and I do routinely reread them because, well, a big thing for me joining the films was that I was like a Harry Potter encyclopedia, and so it's a huge part of my identity. And then as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh no, I'm forgetting things. So I do reread them. And I would say last time I reread them, I really loved Sirius. He's one of those characters who he had a really hard time, and he never really got the happiness and the joy he deserved. And I guess at this point in my life, I just admire those people who quietly have integrity. Yeah. And I know this is a controversial one, but I really love Gilderoy Lockhart. I find him so funny. And I know he's a bit of a fraud, but I just am someone who's very hard on myself and critical, and he's the complete opposite. He thinks he's wonderful, and he has way too high an opinion of himself. And I kind of find that refreshing. It's something just has so much confidence and love, like self-love. So, yeah, it's like it's an antidote to my usual brain.
So how rereading the book as you've gotten older,
Yeah.
has it changed?
Yeah.
Like, does it be like, what do you relate differently to different characters, or?
Yeah, definitely. And I find my house has changed as I've got older. Do you know what I mean by that? The Hogwarts houses. Yeah, when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, Gryffindor. You know, I was just like, oh, I love the heroes. Wanted to be one of them. And now I'm like, I actually think wisdom is superior to courage. Because it's like, you've more knowledge, you've more experience of life. You're not rushing in this fiery, impulsive, attractive way. So yeah, I'm so much more Ravenclaw these days. Yeah. Time I got there. And then what else? Yeah, but yeah, when I read the books, I definitely find different characters jump out to me. And I think now when I read them, I actually really feel the trauma in them. I think as a kid I saw the magic, and that's what is beautiful. But now I see, oh, he's an orphan. He doesn't have parents, and he has this wound that compels him to do these incredible things. So yeah, I feel there's quite a lot of pain in them.
That's I know. It's funny. I'm sure all of you are probably thinking the same thing. Like, I never would have thought to reread. I would just be like, oh, I've already read them, and now I'm like,
no, I'm sure lots of people here disagree.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm done now. I know I'm going to put that on my.
Because it's comforting, For me, it's like a grounding. It's like coming home. If I'm never doing something where I feel so out of my depth and I feel like I've lost my center, Harry Potter reread plugs me right back in. All right. To who I am.
That's so cool. What was your audition process like?
It was an open audition, the very first one. I was 14 and my dad brought me, and there was just thousands of people who, we all wanted to be in the films. And it was a cold read. This term is when you haven't been given the audition side, so you don't get to learn them off. But I already knew the book, so I was like, this is so easy. I know what to do here. And I just remember the casting agent kept asking me to do it again and again, and I was spending a lot of time in there. So I was like, oh, this feels quite good. But then, at the end they said, okay, well, we'll give you a call. And I'd heard that they say, we'll call you, don't call us. And then they did call back on Monday. And then my parents were like, what's going on, Because I lived in the countryside in Ireland. And I remember the casting director called me and she said, you're going to be doing a screen test with Daniel Radcliffe and David Yates. And I was like, oh my God, and I couldn't cope. I had his pictures all over my wall. I knew everything about it. It was a bit like, they shouldn't have let me in that building. But yeah, it started to get very serious. And then I remember the casting agent said, so when you come to this audition, don't shave your eyebrows. And I was like, what? And she was like, I think you, and I probably was trying some weird beauty thing. I was like 14 and I was experimenting. But when she said that, I was like, oh, they're really looking at me. Oh, okay, this is really serious. Like, people in London in a film studio are discussing my eyebrows. So it was serious really quickly. And then I had the screen test, and that was like the best day of my life. Spent the whole day with Daniel Radcliffe. It was amazing. And then I went home from that and I cried all night because I thought, that's it. That's as good as it ever gets, and I'm not going to get this job. Because actually David Yates, the director, he'd given me a book. He'd given me a Harry Potter book, and he'd signed it and said something like, you did a great job. And I thought that was him saying, thanks so much, bye. And I was also like, I obviously already have Lord of the Phoenix, so why is he giving me this? It was funny. So, and then there was 3 days of torture where I didn't know what was happening, and then they told me. So it was actually quick. Yeah.
So from the audition to the first phone call to the screen test, what was the period of time?
2 weeks.
Wow.
It was wild. Yeah.
And then after the screen test, what length of time to your first day on set?
Probably another 2 weeks.
Wow.
So it was just, they were already about to start filming, and they had been auditioning Luna's, but then they said, oh, let's see what else was out there. But it was like very close to filming, and then I got in the door. Yeah.
So what was your first day on set like?
It wasn't too crazy. I think they knew I was like terrified and very out of my depth. So it wasn't like a scene where I had dialogue. It was just a Dumbledore's Army scene. And I was with all the group and, casting Patronuses. So it was nice in that I got to know all the other kids, all the other young actors and just started to feel welcomed before I felt that I had to, do something good. Yeah.
So which do you prefer? Do you prefer live audience or you prefer looking at the camera?
I prefer the camera, actually. Yeah. It's just more like every day is different. So your imagination is trying to keep up. Whereas doing theater, my imagination gets a bit bored, like having to do the same every day. So I do prefer it. But it's different. You make long-term friendships on theater because you're a little group. Whereas on film, sometimes you don't make it. I've actually weirdly got to know a lot of the Harry Potter actors more after the films, doing these kind of events and publicity and things. But yeah, I do prefer film and TV. Yeah.
What's one piece of advice that stuck with you that somebody gave you either on set or in theater?
Oh, God, one piece of advice. I think it was, it wasn't directly to me. It was to Imelda Staunton gave advice to the director of the play I was doing with theater. She told him, you have to get close to sleep. Like that it's very physically exhausting and that her job when she was doing the play is to sleep a lot and then be on for a few hours. So I think about that a lot. And then trying to think what else. Something good will come to me as soon as I walk off stage. I know that. I remember Natalia Tena, the actress. Yeah, she was in Potter as well. And I remember I was just like young and anxious and overthinking everything. And we did like a press thing together. And I told her she won't even remember this, but I told her like all my anxieties about the scene and about a boy I had a crush on and about just like everything in life. She just went, May, stop thinking. And she was like, stop thinking. You're thinking too much. And I was like, oh, yeah, like it really, I do go into these dark spirals and I don't know. I often think about that of like, just live, just be in the moment. Don't try and control everything with your thoughts, which is sort of my weakness as a person and as an actor. I have to go, turn it off, Yeah. That's been simple advice is usually best, I find.